Welcome to Let's Talk About It, a podcast that gives a platform for real talk, real stories, real people, real topics, real conversations. Welcome to the show. Enjoy the journey. Welcome, everybody, to episode 10 of Let's Talk About It, a podcast for real talk, real people, real topics, real conversations. Today, my guest, I saw his video on TikTok, and he has a definitely good story to talk about some of the stuff that he went through. Today he's here to talk about health and fitness, the proper mechanics and using in the gym, deadlifting and bench. Trust me, he knows what he's talking about. He's going to talk about injuries. He's going to talk about the two devastating injuries he had in the last couple of years. He's going to talk about mental toughness. He'll talk about depression, how to deal with depression after an injury, because a lot of us have been injured and it gets downfall. He's going to talk us through that. And he's also going to talk about something that's very, very important. How the way the fitness industry is going about giving kids or having kids taking steroids. Because I looked up a fact the other day that a lot of high school kids are taking steroids. It's crazy as anything. So, but he's gonna give his view on that one as well. I'd like to introduce you may know him on TikTok and Instagram as Coco Dad, but here it is. Here he is, Dominic Jones. How you doing, Dom?
No, I'm all right, man. How about you?
I'm doing good. Sorry about that right there. So we're gonna talk about like a lot of things with you today. Everything I mentioned, health, fitness, injuries, because you had like a big one that we all saw on TikTok, on Instagram. But first and foremost, we're gonna start off with a little bit about you. So I'm gonna give you the floor. Like, tell us something about like Dom, but before we get into your story.
All right. Well, I'm 36. I joined the Marine Corps Reserves I was probably 19, 20 years old. And that's really when I got into lifting, because obviously went to the Marines and they were all, jacked up, and I had to keep that look. So I actually started to work out towards the end of high school, and then it kind of carried over and I joined the Marines. I deployed 2010 and 2011. I worked out while I was overseas, came back, just kept training. Then probably around 2017, 2016, I decided, well, I have decent genetics, and at that time I was pushing gear. So I was like, I might as well, if I'm going to the gym and lifting, I might as well put it to use. So I did my first bodybuilding show.
Okay.
I did the NPC Northern USA's up in Harrisburg.
Ooh.
I got second, but before you get like that's good, it was second out of second. So I got kind of humbled. During that. So got with my coach, we kept working. Then the next year I did the Mr. Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh, I won the novice overall. The novice overall, just open bodybuilding. And I think I took sixth in the open, so I didn't get to stay on the stage for that. But I mean, I was cool winning the novice. But shortly after that, in 2016, I mentioned I tore my Achilles playing basketball. Mm-hmm. So I had my surgery. I don't want to say with the doctor because he didn't really do a good job. I had one of those scooters going around my apartment at the time, and I fell off the scooter and actually cut my incision open. So I told my doctor, I said, hey, listen, this is not, I cut it open. And he said, oh, we'll make that decision. Well, after multiple visits, going back to my doctor and multiple visits, he finally was like, okay, we're going to get you and surgically sew you up.
Okay.
Well, he sewed me up with an infection. So for about 4 years after that, I'll send you a picture of it so you can put it on here. I had a bone anchor come out of a hole in my Achilles area. So, and that was shortly after when I stepped off stage in 2017. That's when the first anchor came out, shortly after stepping off stage. And then just kept going through the process until I found a good doctor. He finally went in, cleaned me up, and sewed that all up. But I'd say probably around 2019, end of 2019 is when I did my first powerlifting meet. I actually reached out to, what is his name? I can't remember his name right now. He's real big on Instagram, TikTok. He's real popular. I reached out to this coach and I said, listen, this is my goals. I want to I was competing USPA. So I said, I want to take the USPA deadlift record in the 242 class. Hold up. What's up? Oh, give me a second. Duty calls. My son.
How was it? Don, one second before you go on that, like, so now when you was in the Marines, right? I guess did you start your like bodybuilding? Like, did you have any ideas? Did you start in the Marines or when you got out of the Marines? Like, how did you start the bodybuilding part of it?
I started the body part actually when I got home from deployment. I kept lifting whatever, and actually my buddy, he was the first one when I took my first cycle. He was the first one to come to me and say, "Hey, it was D-ball." So I said, "Let's jump on that." So I started my cycle, started lifting. Friends around me started competing. I started reaching out to different coaches, and I thought I think I could do this. And when I get my mind on something, I kind of just go for it. So we lined up a show in 2016 that Northern USA's, and it just kind of just went for it.
So like now, because I'm trying to figure what the difference is, like, because like I should know this by now. The difference between bodybuilding and weightlifting. I mean, like I know it's kind of like a vague question, whatever. But what's the real difference, though?
In my opinion, I would say the difference is the discipline, and I think weightlifting is a hobby. It's great. You want to stay in shape and like just feel good, look good, feel good. Bodybuilding is a lifestyle. Like if you're weightlifting, you can go to the bar on the weekends. You can drink with your buddies. You can grab that piece of cake at a birthday party, stuff like that. But when you're bodybuilding, you're strict. You're sticking to a diet. A lot of people call it the plastic container lifestyle. Like there have been times I go out with my girlfriend, my wife now, girlfriend at the time, that I wasn't able to eat the food. I would have to have like a cold piece of chicken with no flavoring and some rice or something in a plastic container pulled out of a baggie. So I think it's more going to the gym, weightlifting. You can it's kind of sporadic. Like if I go to the gym and I want to do chest, it's a bench press because that's the main lift everybody hits. Hit some dumbbell bench, hit some flies, any different accessories. But with your bodybuilding, you're really going in with a purpose. Like that, it's just a different feeling. Every workout, is kind of building like a structure. So in the end, this structure, when it gets on stage, is ready to present to the crowd. So I don't know. I just had a different mindset. Like now going to the gym, I'm relaxed and stuff like that. When I was bodybuilding, it was like, if there's a mirror there, you're constantly getting up, flexing in the mirror, like feeling like, did I really hit it? Did I squeeze, contraction, time under tension, things like that.
Okay. So before you did, like, what made you want to do bodybuilding in the first place?
I mean, for real, I think it was back when Pittsburgh, they had the thing called a Kumite Classic. And it was in the Monroeville Convention Center. They don't have it anymore. Okay. But it was like a low-key bodybuilding show. So I actually started my first show. I didn't really count it, but my first show was actually Kumite, and I did men's physique. I like went out and bought some swim trunks from Walmart or something like that and stepped on stage. And I didn't do that great. But then I really started looking into like, I wouldn't say the Arnolds and stuff like that. I would say like the Cedric McMillans. Let's see, Cedric McMillan. He was my biggest one, really. Cedric McMillan, Phil Heath, Brandon. Brandon? There was a dude who used to do the eyebrow. He like always eyebrow. Brandon Curry. There was another one. These guys were they were just freaks. And I was like, man, like I want to challenge myself to get legs like this big. And I think I just like being in the spotlight. I think that's why I transferred from bodybuilding into powerlifting when I couldn't do bodybuilding anymore. I think it was I like being in the spotlight. I like competition. I'm not gonna lie. I like posing next to someone else and knowing if I beat them, that I put more work in than them. I don't know. I just kind of like not an ego lifter and not really cocky, but I like put in the work and then the work being noticed.
Okay. Now, how many competitions did you do like over the years? I assume you did a couple of years bodybuilding.
Yeah, I did 2 years of bodybuilding, but I only did 2 shows.
Okay, 2 shows.
After the Pittsburgh Pro is when that anchor started to issue with my Achilles.
Okay.
So what that did, it actually impeded my growth on my right side. If you look, like my right calf muscle will like not grow at all from all the issues I have with my Achilles. So that threw off proportion. So that's when I transitioned in to, okay, well, I still lifted pretty heavy as a bodybuilder, which they call power building. And I was like, I like lifting heavy weight and I want to be on the spotlight. So that's when I took up powerlifting.
Okay. So when you had your first injury, this was like while you're doing bodybuilding or after bodybuilding?
This was, I was doing it
Or you was doing it
because
now?
yeah, I did a show with the first injury was Achilles. I don't really count that as anything with lifting because I was just playing basketball with too much weight, and stuff
Yeah, I
happens.
got you. Yeah.
But I did the show with the bone anchor working its way out, and then I think like a month after I stepped off stage of doing the show is when it popped its way out, and then I had to go get it resurgically done up, and like 4 surgeries later, and then I just couldn't get my calf muscle to grow. And bodybuilding is all about proportions, so I didn't want to put all this work in just to get up on stage and get smoked because it was something I couldn't help.
So you're saying you're the what was you said what couldn't grow?
My calf muscle. It like I can if I flex the calf muscle, it like doesn't look like I'm flexing. Like there's no connection from my Achilles up that area.
After 4 surgeries, there's nothing happens.
Nope.
Wow.
Yeah, and I asked them, I said, what's going on with that? And they're just like, there's a disconnect between where they did the surgery for the Achilles and then somewhere up in the leg somewhere. But it doesn't affect my nerves or anything, but it's weird. I just can't, as much work as I put on that calf muscle, it won't grow. And then when I flex it, it like just like looks flat.
Well, if I could ask you, how do you feel about that?
Um, at first it kind of sucked, but I think since I was able to transition from the bodybuilding into the powerlifting, I think I was fine because I was like, powerlifting is if you lift the weight, you lift the weight. If you lift more weight than the other guy, then you win. Bodybuilding is, I wouldn't have been able to step on stage. It would have been tough. A lot more work that I really wanted to put in because I probably would have had to have added like synthol, different fillers and stuff like that if I really wanted to push to that level. But I just figured just push my heavy lifting into powerlifting and see what it does, see what happens.
Okay. So after the whole bodybuilding thing, like you went into powerlifting, I guess slash weightlifting, right? Same thing.
Yeah, pretty much. I started training heavier with different weights, and then I reached out to a coach before I got on powerlifting.
Okay.
My first coach was actually, his name was Nam Scheitzer. He's pretty strong dude, pretty big dude. Came to my first meet. Some stuff happened. We had some miscommunications or misunderstandings. We decided to part our ways, and then I found my new coach. He's my buddy now. Not really coaching me for powerlifting because I'm kind of out of the game right now. But
Yeah.
Nate Menino, Squats and Tater Tots on my Instagram. He got me going, and we like since then we set I think most of the PA records I have, and then I set a national record and been going pretty good.
All right. Now, right now you're doing bench and deadlifting and powerlifting stuff like that. Now, we all see videos out there. Like, what's does it depend on the person about proper technique? You can or something like that. Like, well, what's the proper technique in doing bench and deadlifting? Let's start with bench.
Bench, a lot of you see bouncing. I think the best way to bench is control. I think you have more when you control the weight down to your chest, lose your leg drive and explode up. I think you get more out of it than you'll see guys just bouncing it off their chest. Now it's weird though, because powerlifting with a bench press and just going to a gym and doing a bench press are two different things. Because you'll see the arch, arch in powerlifting. Some guy, I don't have an arch, but some people can get up on their traps and maybe create like that much space to a bench. So to the regular gym goer doesn't really know powerlifting. He's looking at that like, oh, that doesn't count. That's a false bench. But in powerlifting standards, that powerlifter is actually in the standards, and that weight would actually count in competition. I think a lot of difference I noticed too when I started powerlifting compared to just like lifting or bodybuilding with bench. Like I've learned a lot that it's your lats, a lot of lats engagement in a bench press. And then the leg drive is a big thing that I see that nobody really uses when they could use it and probably skyrocket their numbers.
Now, do you think people they watch these videos and see guys in the gym or what they just do whatever, but they don't really take out the time to learn the proper technique from somebody who really knows?
I think sometimes it's they just don't want to ask.
I think ego or something like that. I think it's like an ego thing, something like that.
I don't know if it's ego, but it could be also like I have I look mean all the time in the gym because I just want to get in there and get it done. But I've had people come up to me and I talk to them and they're like, "Oh man, I would have thought you've been a D head or something, but you're actually pretty cool." So it could be they're just nervous to go up to someone and be like, "Hey man, like, can you show me?" Because you could get one answer, yeah, man, I'll show you. That's cool. Let me show you. Work with you. Could get another answer, dude. Leave me alone. I'm trying to work out. Then from
Yeah.
that point on, if you're that person that asks somebody, you're probably just gonna be like, I'm not gonna go through that again.
So like, so let's say you at the gym, you seen somebody bench. He's practically like killing his shoulders or killing something like that. Do you like usually say something to him, or you just leave him be?
Um, I think it depends if it's to the point where he's gonna injure himself. If
Okay.
it's something that I notice and it's like, man, that dude is gonna get hurt. I will walk up to someone and be like, hey man, can I give you a tip? I'll say like that. Um,
What's an
again, it's like
example of somebody like near injuring themselves?
the back, the butt off the bench, the pushing. I'm sure you've seen it when they bring
Yeah.
your butt off the bench and they drive it up. That is just putting your back in a bad position. And the more weight you have on there, you're risking a back injury, you're risking a pec tear. So if I see something like that, and then the worst thing you can see is someone put more weight on after that, then I will go over and be like, hey man, can I give you a tip? And then I'll show them, like, I'm not saying that I do it the proper way, but I have a little bit of an idea.
Yeah.
I'll show them how I do it, and then give them some tips and say, hey man, like this, you might want to try this next. You might take some weight off, work on this. And 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, oh man, I appreciate that. And I will see them practicing that. But sometimes I have seen people just go right back to driving it up with their butt coming off the bench, and it's just terrible.
So basically, your back has to be flat to the bench, your ass down, your butt down, and like when you're driving, what you using your like more is your elbows got to be a certain length, size, or I mean like certain angle or something like that when
You
you bench.
talking about you talking about in regards to like a powerlifting meet?
Yeah.
Um, your elbows, you have to have at least your index fingers can they have to be touching the rings on the bar, the knurling rings.
Got it.
And so you can go wide, but you have to have a finger on that ring. So if you go too wide and you don't touch that ring, it's disqualified. But you can go as wide as having your ring finger, or you can go as narrow as having your pinky finger. Um, and in a competition, you'll see people dig their traps in. As long as your butt stays in contact with that bench the whole time, it's a good lift.
Okay. So did you do powerlifting competitions too?
Have I done them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, because you say you did the bodybuilding, right?
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
that,
I
you
switched
only did
over to
two of
powerlifting.
those. Okay. Now the powerlifting, like let's get more of that one. How many competitions did you do?
Oof, I'd probably say probably close to 10.
Okay. Now, describe to me like your first time ever coming, like doing that competition. How was it? How was the feeling? What was the environment about? What was the competition?
Um, I did it in Altoona in the Gorilla House. I think around 20, end of 19, beginning of 2020. I was excited. I mean, I wanted the national record, not the national record, the USPA state record at 242 was 735 pounds or
Oh,
something.
okay.
And I wanted that record. So
Okay.
I had a pretty strong deadlift because really coming from the bodybuilding background, I did a lot of rack pulls, and that really strengthened up my back. So when I came into powerlifting, it just took some technique critiques and little tweaks here and there, and then I was able to start pulling a lot of weight. But I don't say I was really nervous. Like I say, I love being on a platform. I love being on stage. I just love being the center of attention when it comes to like lifting a heavy weight. Um, I'd say I went in there kind of knowing the numbers the guys going to put up. Like I squatted my first opener on squat was 500 pounds. I went
Okay.
down and I shot back up, but I got red lighted because I didn't hit depth. So
What's
the
that
second
mean?
attempt, what's that?
What's that mean? You didn't hit that.
Your knee has to break your hip crease when you're powerlifting. So when you hear people say about, like, if you see anything on Instagram or social media or anything about red lighting or getting white lights, it's because the knee did not break the hip crease
Okay.
in a powerlifting competition. You have a judge in the front, you'll always get that call, but your two judges on the side are the ones that will see if you actually hit depth or not.
Oh, really? Wow. That's
Yeah.
deep.
So like in the gym, your goal is just people say 90 degrees and you're fine. Well, in powerlifting, you could go a little lower and kind of drop it into the hole, that knee breaking the hip crease for it to count. Or if you don't get it within the 3 lifts, you bomb out, which means you can finish the meet, but none of your stuff counts.
Okay. So now, what was your best competition that you did?
Best competition would have probably been the American Pro. It was the first time they had it. Um, what was that? 2022?
Okay.
Yeah, it would have been 2022. I hit a 667 squat, a 4 either 425, 435 bench, and a 755 deadlift. And that's
Now,
probably my 1840 total. So that was my best one.
whew, damn, that's a lot. Now, what was the highest you ever power lift?
The highest, that was it. For like
Really?
competition,
Yeah,
yeah, that was the highest number I've ever put up.
that's a big number, man. It's a big number.
Yeah, that's
Let's
what.
get to your first injury. Now, when did you tear? You say you tore your bicep.
Yeah, I tore it in 2020 at the King of a Power Build meet up in King of Prussia.
Wow. Now how'd that happen?
I was if you look at one of the, I was tugging. So when you're deadlifting mixed grip, especially, you got to keep your arms as straight as possible. So when you go to pull, they have to stay straight. Well, I did like this. I started tugging the bar, bending my arms, and then I extended real fast. And when I pulled up, I went to lock it out, and it just like you can see, it just moved from like from here to here. And then like I put the weight down, looked at my arm. My coach came over and he's like, Can you go again?" I said, "No, man, I think I tore my bicep." And then we left the meet. Next day we were actually, the crazy thing, I was running up the Rocky stairs and I was carrying my son like this,
Yeah.
and my arm wouldn't, like, I couldn't get my arm down. It stuck like that. But I told my wife, I said, "Push my arm." So she pushed my arm down, and then we went to breakfast, and that's when I called my doctor, and he set up everything when I got back here, and he said, "Yeah, it's torn." And I had like couple, like I said, the decision to not get surgery was because my son was one. I'm right arm dominant. I would have been a sling. There, it would have just been impossible to take care of a 1 year old with my left arm.
So
So
okay. So what was you supposed to do when you was lifting that?
I should have kept my arms as straight as possible to almost where it's like hurting my elbows and it feels like my elbows are about to pop, and
Right.
then come down into the weight with my hips and I was keeping them straight, then just lift my head up, get my chest up, and then bring my torso up while keep my arms straight as possible. The
Oh,
sudden jerk from my doctor said was the whole bend to a not, like the bent to a non bent position is what that it just caused a lot of stress. It was 722 pounds and it just was too much.
how was you like mentally at that time when it happened? I mean, when you was going up the steps with your son, when you knew it was torn, like how was you at that point?
I mean, at that point, I think a lot of stuff was going through my head. A lot, like, I was thinking, like, man, if I don't get this fixed, like, I'm not gonna be able to compete again. If I do get it fixed, I'll be able to compete. But then again, I'm going off work for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or whatever, with no pay, and like, how's my family going to do this and stuff like that. Um, but I don't want to say that really wasn't. It didn't really kill me mentally because I just there's mixed grip, and then in powerlifting there's hook grip. So what I did, I just went into the gym. I toured on a Saturday. That
Mm-hmm.
next Tuesday, I was in the gym working a different grip and seeing if I could hold it. I think I worked up to 500 pounds. Um, and I told my doctor, I said, "Listen, I'm not getting surgery. I think I'm fine. I can still lift like this." And to this day, he still does a little test on me to test out my strength. And I've uh very little strength loss in supination because that's what I tore it. That's what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of just rode on from there. And then since then, I pulled that at the American Pro, that 755 with a torn bicep. So
Now, how long did it take you to heal and come back?
I said I was back in the gym Tuesday, switched up hook grip, and I was pulling 500. I went back into the gym, and when I was pulling 500, like, the way I look at injuries, it's probably stupid. It's probably different from other people. I kind of test myself. So, like, you saw that when I tore my quad on a 620 squat. I haven't posted any videos yet, but recently, I mean, I squatted 465 already. Um, and I was like, I like testing myself. Like, if I can do 400 squat, then obviously I'm okay. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Everything's healing right. And it's weird. I don't know if it makes sense, but instead of going and seeing my doctor, I'm at the gym just like, well, I squatted 400 pounds. Obviously, it's fixed. And
Man.
that's kind of the mindset I have.
Whew, man. Now let's get into the video part because when you posted, I think was when it happened. Like it happened a few months ago. I think like
The quad tear happened September 24th of 23.
yeah, I was watching it and you just collapsed, and I was I've like it was crazy of the video because we definitely we'll post that video with this. Like, explain what happened and like how the process went. How was you feeling when it happened?
So the previous week, I squatted 640 for a single. I stood up and had a lot of pain in that same knee. So I limped over to the bench. I called it a day and actually got a hold of my doctor. I went into the doctor's office that day, and we actually came up to the conclusion that we just thought it was patella tendonitis. So obviously patella tendonitis, I was thinking, and my doctor said too, was nothing. It's pain. So obviously rub some dirt on it, keep going. So as in dirt, Tiger Balm, icy hot, whatever, a good compression, a good knee sleeve, which I have. I was like, I can push through that. Then if it's a pain threshold, I can push through the pain and keep training. But that day I went into it, like I said, I worked 16 hours. I started off at like 145 because the bar is a 55-pound bar. I think I jump plate to plate. So like say a bench press is 135. If I go to my next bench will be 225. My next bench will be 315. My next bench will be 405. I don't like I just put a 45 on because I'm like, just why mess around?
Okay.
So I did that day and I jumped from a 495. I think this is where I made a mistake. I jumped from a 495, actually would have been 505 because of the bar, straight to a 620. And I think it was just too much. I think if I would have just did even just like 550 or something, and then I could have honestly made it through the lift possibly and felt the pain and been like, this, I'm not going anymore. I can't. I gotta get this looked at, get an MRI, do all the right stuff. I
Yeah.
didn't do that because I usually jump plate to plate. So when I put that 620 on, I'm actually seeing the video. I'm actually singing. I'm like, I'm feeling good. I'm like, this is gonna fly. And then as soon as I went down to the hole, just click, and it just like dumped the bar. Luckily, I had my safeties on. Um, and I did from there, like a lot of stuff was going through my head. Because my wife actually made the joke because she's been with me through all the injuries. She said, "If you get hurt, don't call me." So as soon as I hit the rack, I was like, "Oh man, like I'm gonna have to call her at some point." But I called my buddy, then I called my other buddy, and then when I called her, it was finally to let her, "Hey, I know, hey, just so you know, I'm going to the hospital."
Oh man, because when I saw the video, you just dropped. So I mean,
Yeah, it
like,
was
describe that pain you think I mean, not think you went through. It's like a
like
sharp
it
pain,
was
or
just like I was going down slow into the hole. As soon as I got into the hole, went to push up. It was honestly like my left knee just caved in. It wasn't that just lost all strength, caved in, and then it just felt like I said when I talked to you earlier, bubble wrap, just like pop, 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 that both sides of my legs shot right down both my legs. And that's
oh,
when I was like, in my head, I was like, I thought I tore both legs. I was like, I'm not gonna walk again.
oh my god, dude. So after it happened, you went to the hospital. I assuming you had surgery like right away.
Yeah, luckily, like I said, my ortho surgeon is my buddy. I sent him the video. He met me in the hospital because he was call. I called him. He's like, dude, I just watched the video. He's like, I'll be there in a minute. So he was in there before the nurses. And actually funny because the video was popular around the hospital. Everybody was like, you got to see this because it was just the snap. People weren't ready for that snap. Um,
Yeah.
so he came in. He didn't even do an MRI. He looked at it. He said it's torn. He's like, I know it's torn. Got me set up for surgery the next day. And then from there it was just recovery. And I like thank God that he was able to get me in the next day because the way I look at it, if I'd have went and did the pro and that would have happened at the pro, that's in Virginia. So now I'm sitting in Virginia, and who knows when they can get me into a hospital. Now everything's all screwed up in life because, well, like I'm injured and we have to get it fixed. So I can't leave Virginia, come back to Pennsylvania. It had to be fixed. So
Yeah, that's
luckily,
why you set up to go to a competition. What, like another couple weeks before that?
six
For
six
that, right?
weeks out, 6 weeks out. I'll train for the American Pro too. That's where I was really really pushing for almost a 700-pound squat. My bench has never been that good, just the long arms, and I'm just not a bencher. It was going to be over 400, but then my deadlift, we were gonna shoot for 800, so it was going to be great. But then when I knew it, I wasn't competing. As soon as I didn't even hear the snap because the funny thing is, I was recording my lift and I didn't hear the snap until I watched the video with the sound up, and then I was like, oh yeah, there it is, because like everybody's saying I heard a snap. My buddy came over and said I heard a snap. I'm like, no, it popped, but I didn't hear a snap. And then when I put the video on, I was like, oh yeah.
All right. So you had the surgery. You're going through the rehab. First time you decide to go back to like Well, when you went back to power with the deadlift, the power lift, like what was that like, and how much was it when you first went back to it?
So when I first went back, I mean, it was after I was probably on the couch for like a month and a half or so, and then I had the knee brace. I was cleared to go to a knee brace.
I saw
So
that
I started out. I
on.
pulled 135, and that was the first weight I ever pulled coming back. Like still in a knee brace.
Now, when you was on the couch, I'm gonna go back. I'm sorry. When you was going through all this, you on the couch, you missed your competition. Like you had to be like, what was your mental there? Because I know you was excited for this, right? And now you on the
Oh
couch
yeah.
with a knee brace, and you're like, damn, like, you know what I mean, if I would have put like maybe 45 pounds less, I could have been good. It's not, but you saying like if you went to the competition, it might have happened there. Like, what was going through your mind at that time right there?
Um, I was done. I thought like for real. I thought all the work I put in was over. I was done powerlifting. I didn't know if I'd even really want to step under a squat again because it was so traumatic. I've been through injuries like I said before, but I've never had an injury where it actually made me rethink like, wow, what am I doing? Like I've never had that. It's always been, oh, I'll heal and go back. But that one was so dramatic. I was like, I started thinking about like, man, what would happen if I did tear both legs? Um, I was considered an elite pro lifter, but I didn't win any money. I put my body through all this hell and I wasn't winning money. So like I thought in my head, like, what happens if I would have tore both legs? And like would have had to go. My wife even said, she's like, you would have had to go to a home or something. Like the the um the stress it could have put on my family is probably the worst. Like I can heal, but knowing the fact that like now I'm laid up. Now my wife has to take care of me and then take care of my son. That was hard. Not being able to play with my son was probably the hardest part. The
Mm-hmm.
gym, like I really just I got an iPad and started making more social media content. That kind of like you and other followers on TikTok and Instagram actually kept me going.
Yeah,
And kept me kind of motivated because I would do videos like, this is an update, this is how I'm feeling, and then just do
yeah.
videos like, you know, the big one I put out there was like, if you have a pain, get it taken care of. Because I know there's not just me, there's powerlifters out there I know that train through pain like crazy, and we push through it because that's just our mindset. Like I'm not gonna be that one. I'm not gonna be that guy that drops out of a meet because I hurt my knee. Like and sometimes you push stuff too far and it bites back.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, how was your overall support system, family, friends, and stuff like that help you through this process? Especially like I think your wife was there, so I assume that she helped you a lot through this process, right?
Oh, tons, tons. My wife's been great through it all with injuries. She'll make those jokes like "Don't call me," but she knows I'll obviously have to call her, and she knows she'll be the one taking care of me. Um, but I do have a great support system. I don't say I don't have too many friends. I have a lot of acquaintances because
Yeah,
and they were all there for me. And then my followers on social media actually reached out. It was cool. They're reaching out saying, "Man, get better. We want to see your videos again." So that kind of kept my head in the game. So I see raw support. I was pretty good. Like even like my best friends' parents they looked out for me. Let me know if you need anything. But
yeah,
then it's kind of weird though because like I love having the support, but then I'm like my childhood wasn't the best growing up, so I kind of defend for myself. So now when I have all these people reaching out and being like example, I was a Dollar General. I was on crutches, and someone opened the door for me, and I was like, "Thank you so much for opening the door." I came home and told my wife, I was like, "Man, like, it kind of felt useless. Like I felt like they felt obligated to open that door because I was on crutches. Like kind of like, oh, I feel bad for him because he's on crutches. Like I don't know, it's just a different mindset. I like doing stuff by my own. So like when people try to do stuff for me, that was probably hard to deal with because I knew they meant they meant well, and they weren't. They probably didn't even think that. But in my head, I was thinking like, man, they probably think like this poor guy. Like, for real, I was at breakfast one time, and a guy came in, and I was just on my crutches, I think, but you could see the scar and all that stuff. And he made the comment. He was like, "I'm gonna pray for you." He's like, "I saw you walk in, and I'm praying for you." And I was thinking, man, I appreciate it, but like, I'm not dying. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but like,
I
I
got you.
appreciate the prayer, but like, I'm walking. There's guys up there that are missing a limb.
Yeah,
Like I'm not hopeless. So I think that was a big driving factor too. Like I had to get back out there and start lifting to show that like, no, I may say I'm done, but like it can be done. Like I saw a lot of videos with guys with one leg deadlifting, guys with one
Yes.
arm benching, like
Mm-hmm.
one leg squatting. And that was a huge motivation because I was like, man, I'm not going to sit on this couch and cry about my injury when I still have my leg and it's healing. Eventually,
Mm-hmm.
I will be able to walk and lift again.
Yeah.
So that was a big help in getting me back in it too. Just because like these guys are doing it. What is keeping me from going to the gym, even if I have to walk around in crutches and work upper body? Because there's guys that would kill to be able to work upper body. Like,
Absolutely.
so I kind of looked at it like that.
Brother, you got a good story here, but you know what? I'm gonna switch gears here for a second. You wanted to discuss where the fitness injury is going on with steroids. Now, I can tell you what when I looked it up. I mean, I don't know. It's just it was online. Like 74% of high school athletes know someone who's done it.
It's
74%.
crazy.
That's in this country, man. I was like, that's a big ass number, right? So, what do you got to say about the fitness industry with steroids with these young kids?
Um, I would say obviously I would I hate to say it, but social media influencers. I mean, that's where it's coming from. I mean, I'm not gonna Sam Solak. I respect him. He doesn't talk about steroids. He, in my opinion, obviously does them, but he doesn't promote it to kids. He doesn't, he just says he does his videos. But I think what's going on is I think Alex Eubanks actually touched on this. Um, they look at him and think he's 21. So most of his followers are all kids. So if you're 16 years old, you see this kid making money, getting popular. So you know he's on something. So what do? You see
Mm.
where social media is going. You see how people are making money on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. What do? You see that guy, he's 21. You start thinking, I could be like that. So they start taking gear. And I don't think it has too much to do with the bodybuilding industry because a lot of people start taking gear probably to step on stage. I really think if you're going to take gear, at least have a plan. If you're going to do something with it, go on stage. But if you're going to take gear just to be like the biggest guy at your local gym, I think it's stupid. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing. I think they want to be the big guy walking around their local gym and people being like, oh, that guy's so strong. But they don't realize that, those compliments are great, but your insides are dying.
Do you think these kids are getting pressure from the other kids, or they see like someone he gets a D1 scholarship, or even female athletes as well? They get scholarship these big uh, colleges, or some might get drafted in the NFL and the NBA or WNBA stuff like. You feel that they're going through the pressure of it. They have to do that to stay strong, to have their starting spot, to get that scholarship or something like that.
I think a little bit. I mean, I think a lot of people are starting to with how heavy gear use is and how popular it's actually becoming. A lot of people are getting away from it. Might not be it can't be his genetics. That guy has to be taking steroids. So if he runs a 4.240, he's on gear. So then I have to look up to see what I got to do to run a 4.240. Or that guy, like he's 6'6" and he has a 40-inch vertical, but it can't be his genetics. It has to be just he's taking gear. Can't be his work ethic. He's taking gear. Um, so I think there's a little bit of pressure, but I mean, in the end, it comes down to the individual. I mean, you got to be able to, and the people around you too, because I mean, obviously, if you start to take something, you're probably going to brag to your friends and be like, "Hey, I'm taking this," and if they're like, "Oh yeah, man, you're looking huge," and I think, let me backtrack. Steroids are like a drug. Steroids are addicting. No matter what people say, you cannot just take a cycle of tests and be like, "I'm good. I'll never take it again," because
Mm.
you're gonna feel better, you're gonna look better, and people are gonna in the compliments. It's gonna be the people feeding into it. Man, you look good, so you're gonna think, "Oh, yeah, I look good. I'm gonna keep taking tests," and then you start. That's when you start experiencing with other stuff. You start looking into. I hate to say it, the trend. The trend is the craziest steroid I've ever taken, and I know there's kids out there taking trend, which is it's insane because
Now, you said the trend and the gear. That's like there's certain steroids that's the name of them.
yeah, testosterone. You have a couple. You have propionate, cypionate, and suspension, and then trend. You have tremolone, enanthate, and tremolone. I believe acetate, and but like it's still trend. And like I mean, you look on all social media. Trend is the I've done it. I have memes saying, start taking trend this and trend this because it is a godly steroid. It makes you if you start taking trend, it's almost like it's almost like taking heroin. I hate to make the comparison, but
Yeah.
for real, when if you do a cycle of tren, you're gonna blow up. You're gonna become stronger. You're gonna become harder. You're gonna become leaner. You're gonna become bigger, stronger, and like who wants to lose that? So you're gonna keep taking it. You're gonna keep taking it, but you're not really thinking about the side effects. You're looking at it as like that can't happen to me because I went through it. Like oh that guy, he's doing liver failure. That won't happen to me.
Yeah, that's how I
Or
was going to ask you about the side effects. Like, are there side effects from doing this?
well, tren side effects are insomnia, night sweats, um, mood changes. Those are pretty much the three big ones, and acne, like everything else. But the big ones are the insomnia and the night sweats and the mood swings. Because when you're not sleeping, it's not fun, and when
Really?
you're sweating when you sleep, it's definitely not fun. So when I when I think about kids using steroids and where it's going, I'm like, man, I'm 36 years old. When I was on train, I couldn't sleep. I was taking a bottle of ZQL, half a bottle of ZQL to fall asleep, just to wake up with night sweats and just to get that extra 10 pounds on my bench or my extra 10 pounds on my deadlift or my squat. And
Mm-hmm.
to think about that, there's teenagers out there that are possibly doing this, putting their body through this to, like you said, possibly get a scholarship, to be, and like I said, to be the biggest guy in their local college gym or something like that is crazy. And it's nuts because back, like I'm 36, back when I started steroids back in like 20, it was it was frowned upon. I was like, people were like, oh, they cheat and like this, that, and steroids are bad and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like because certain influencers stuff that are making money off it, it became popular again. It became, oh no, it's okay to do it because they're making money. Like it's weird.
So, like, but in the high school ranks, is that legal or is they don't test for it or anything like that?
Well, I'm not, I don't really know about high school sports, but I'm pretty sure they don't test in high school. So to
That's in
my
college.
point, what is the point of taking something in high school to get big and strong and then getting offered a scholarship, moving on to college where they test you and then failing a drug test just to lose your scholarship is really, that's why I said if you're going to do it, I would never promote it. And I actually tell people to stay away from it based on the stuff I've been through with it. I would like if you're trying to step on stage, like and you're trying to push to a pro card or something like that, like the IFBB,
Mm-hmm.
that's really the only reason you should really be doing it.
All right, I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say a high school kid came to you like, Dom, listen, man, I'm trying to get bigger, stronger. You know what I mean? Should I take this trend and do this and that? Because I'm trying to get to college or I'm trying to be a power lifter in the future or whatever. I mean, what would you say to that kid now?
I tell him absolutely not. I wouldn't do it. I mean, in the end, it's his decision. But
Yeah.
I would just tell him, like I've had people ask me that, and I tell them right off the bat when somebody asks me, like, man, what's your secret? How are you so big? I'm like, well, I'm not natural. Like I have to be on TRT the rest of my life because like I killed my testosterone production, so I have to be on HRT whether I want to be on it or not. So I never tell anybody I'm a natural lifter because I'm not. So I put that out to them right off the bat. And then if they mention trend, I say, whoa, no, I wouldn't do trend. And then if they really want to push the issue, I'll be like, listen, dude, if you're gonna take anything, I would be like, I would start out with like maybe a test, low dose
Okay.
test or something like that. If you're really gonna push it and you just can't help yourself, that's what I start off with. And I like go into the, like just explaining how like just a little bit of test, you'll feel better, you'll look better. You don't need trend on top of that stuff. But
Okay.
the trends become so popularized that that's people think that like, oh, I have to be on trend to look like that. And it's not true.
So last one on this subject here. What's the difference? I don't know. Maybe I'm clueless about this one. Between trend and taking creatine.
Oh, creatine, I mean, it absorbs in your muscles and you got to keep up your water, but then it's like a filler to your muscles. When you take creatine, it absorbs into your muscles. And when you take that water and stuff, obviously there's the water weight involved with the creatine, which gives you your weight. There's like creatine, creatine monohydrates, one with the water. Then they have like some other ones too that you're not supposed to retain water, but that's over time. When you
Yeah.
take trend, probably within a week, you'll notice a difference.
Wow.
And it's just because I mean you inject it, so obviously it's straight into your bloodstream.
Well, I tell you, I'm scared to take either one of them, man, because I got high blood pressure, and I don't know if that's going to affect my high blood pressure or not. I've had guys say, "Hey, man, listen, man, you want to get bigger?" Like, I'm not really worried about getting bigger. It's my genetics. I got lean frame. I got lean muscle mass. It is. I'm good with it. I'm 52. I'm old. So, and to me, lean muscle is better for my age than anything else because it will last me like long term. And
Yeah.
I get so scared with creatine because like I do have high blood pressure. and especially a lot of African American men, we got a lot of high blood pressure. So like they say, yeah, you want to get this, you get with the water weight stuff like that. Creatine to me, man, it's a scary thing for me. I don't know if I can do it, and because I'm afraid that it doesn't like hype you up more. Because with me, with my high blood pressure, I mean, want to like hype it up even more.
I don't think it would. I haven't really taken creatine that much, but I know when I did take it before, it just a lot of extra water weight, and that's where my weight came from. So obviously, weight moves weight. So if I'm putting on water weight, I'm moving more weight in the gym. I'm getting stronger and stuff like that.
Gotcha. All right.
And it's they say it's really bad. It can be bad on your kidneys if you don't drink enough water. Like that's the big thing. Like a gallon and a half to a gallon to a gallon and a half a day. You have to drink of water to keep that creatine being absorbed in your body.
I barely drink a gallon, man. I don't know if I can drink a gallon and a half, man. That's a lot of water,
It's
right
tough. It's tough. That's why that might be why I persuaded my decision to not do creatine and just go on natural, because I'm not a fan of water, and kind of having that thought in your head, if you don't drink the water, then the creatine's not going to do its job and it can harm my kidneys.
Okay.
Well, if I'm not going to drink the water and I'm going to take something that's going to harm my kidneys anyway, and it's going to give me better results, obviously I might as well go with that one over the creatine.
All right. I got one more for you. What is mental toughness to you?
Mental toughness is being able to deal with something, rather be a traumatic injury or a dramatic life change, and kind of move on. Rather it takes, like, hard to explain. Like, if you get injured, rather than sitting at home on the couch and just thinking, I'm done. I can't go to the gym. I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Like, I can't go work legs. I'm done. I can't work out. Having that toughness to go to the gym and say, no, I can't work legs, but I'll work upper body, or vice versa. I broke my arm. I can't lift upper body. I'm done. I'm just going to sit at home and just pout about it that I can't lift. No, go to the gym and hit legs. So I think mental toughness is just being able to push through something and carry on.
I love it. I love it. All right, listen, I'm gonna give you one last thing at the end here, but on every podcast, I like to play a little game with my guests. You'll love it. Trust me. It's pick or choose, random questions, right? You got 90 seconds to answer 15 questions, like blue or black, or
Okay.
I would do this. Now, I mean, so you're gonna be on the clock. You got 90 seconds to see if you can like beat out other people. Cause trust me, it's a lot harder than you think it is. It's real quick. It's real fun. Are you ready, Don?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Visit Germany or Japan?
Germany.
Cardio or weightlifting?
Weightlifting.
Be an artist or read minds?
Read minds.
Childhood nickname?
Neek.
Free healthcare or free education?
Free healthcare.
Steak or chicken?
Steak.
Great body or successful career?
Successful career.
One huge meal per day or 4 small meals?
4 small meals.
Cooking for someone or being cooked for?
Cooking for someone.
Would you rather have a terrible boss but a great job, or a great boss with a terrible job?
Terrible boss, great job.
All right. Would you rather have more time or more money?
More time.
Text or call?
Definitely text.
Would you rather be the funnest person in the room or the smartest person in the room?
Funnest.
All-time favorite teacher?
Miss Sexton.
Would you rather be able to read minds or be able to see the future?
See the future.
Ah, damn, yo, you got the best one ever, man. 1 minute, 17 seconds. I like that, bro.
Well, the Germany one is pretty easy. I was born in Nuremberg, Germany, so you said
there you
Germany.
go.
I was like, I'd love to visit Germany.
One last thing, Dom. If someone said to you, like, Dom, I want to be a bodybuilder or a power lifter, like, what would you guide them in? Like, what type of like basically like guidance you can give them how to go about it from everything that you learned over the years? Let's say not the bodybuilder, let's say powerlifter. He wants to be a successful powerlifter. He wants to compete in competitions. Everything you've learned and been through in the years, like what would the blueprint would you give this person? Male or female?
No, male or female, the big thing would be why you doing it. Because I would let him know that it's not fun. You're hurting. I know I was talking to a powerlifter the other day. He's not even doing it anymore. He's 26. And I asked him why you're doing it. He said, I'm hurting, I'm tired of boiling on that bed, hurt and stuff like that. So the biggest thing would be why you're doing it. If you're doing it because you want to go somewhere with it or something like that, or maybe try meat out, then awesome. But if you're not really committed to it and you're thinking like, oh, I think I might want to try it, then I would say, well, reach out to me. I'm a coach, or reach out to other coaches you think would best fit you, and have them write up a program, get you into your first meet, and see how you do. And that's pretty much just because the soreness, the injuries, it's just not fun. And as a younger power lifter, you got to look kind of. Are you gonna go to that pro level? Is it going to be worth putting your body through it and not being able to? Because you're not going to be as mobile anymore. You're not going to be as agile anymore. So certain stuff you did before, you're not going to be able to do because you're going to put on the muscle mass, or you're so focused on powerlifting. But I would say overall, I'd say go for it, because you don't want to have that doubt. Like if you have something, if you think about something or you want to do something, go for it, because if you don't do it, you're going to have that what if factor. And I'm a big fan of not having that what if factor. So like I would tell them, reach out, like I said, talk to myself as a coach, reach out, do some research, talk to some friends if they're powerlifting, ask them what they think, and go from there.
Dom, it's a pleasure to have you on, man. You gave a lot of good information, got a lot of good insight and everything. And I mean, I'm so happy that you came on the show. Maybe people will get something from this, learn something from you, because God knows you've been through it. Dom, I appreciate you for coming on. And thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody. This was episode 10 of Let's Talk About It. Stay tuned next week for episode 11. Peace. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching the show. Please subscribe, click on the bio, support the show. Thank you so much again. We'll see you next week for another amazing episode on Let's Talk About It.